Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a brand new model that I am very interested in checking out because this is my very first chance to take a look at some of the work in hand of Kevin Zanetti. Now, you may not know straight out of the gate who that is, but if you are a viewer of my channel, you are actually familiar with his work, just not necessarily actual models, because he is the person that creates all of the artwork for Arctic figures. So I have shown that off many times over the course of my time, acquiring Arctic figures models, so you have seen quite a bit of his work in the past, but this is the very first time that I've had the pleasure of owning one of his actual sculpted models, as we've got ourselves a Giganotosaurus. And this looks really cool. I don't know how long he's actually been sculpting dinosaurs or anything like that, but I had high hopes for it just based off of the fact that his artwork is incredible. So he is a very good artist, and he takes a lot of care and pride in what he does. So when I had found out that he was sculpting out a Giganotosaurus, I was pretty darn positive it was going to be really nice, and having it here, it absolutely is exactly that. It is a gorgeous looking Giganotosaurus. Look at how nice that looks. Sculpt-wise, it's really beautiful. He also painted the model, so the paintwork was done by him as well. And again, it just looks really beautiful here. So, as always, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this and check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Giganotosaurus, you can see straight away how nice it looks and also how nice the fine detail is. You can see really nice, very fine skin texture, as well as larger scales as you lead up here toward the snout and the jawline, something that you do see quite often portrayed on different theropods nowadays. You can also see the nostrils are sculpted out. They've been highlighted with a darker tone quite beautifully. The eyes are painted very nicely as well, and you can see quite a bit of variation of color here in the face of the Giganotosaurus, as you've got different variations of browns and nice dry brushing techniques and everything that he's applied to bring the detail out quite beautifully. On top of that, you can see up here we've got a nice reddish tone for the crest area of our Giganotosaurus, which also looks really cool. We have lips for the Giga on top of everything, which is also a huge plus. You can see the teeth there are sculpted out on the inside of the mouth. They're also painted very nice and carefully. You can see they are quite small, so it's very impressive to see how nicely done the paintwork is for that area. See the teeth on each and every side. You can also see the inside sports a very nice light pinkish tone. There is the tongue sculpted out in there, and the inside of the mouth also has kind of a gloss coat, which is a nice thing to see, again giving it that very saliva-like look. As you lead down here into the lower jaw, you can see some darker tones here in the tip of the lower jaw, but also quite a bit of variation of color as you move back here along the lower jaw into the throat region. You've got quite a bit of skin wrinkles and skin detail here, kind of like some saggy skin in the throat of the Giganotosaurus. As you move up here to the top of the dinosaur, not only do you see more really nice looking, very fine skin texture, you can also see quite a bit of wrinkling and creasing in the neck region because the Giga has its head turned to the left and also down a little bit, so it would definitely be kind of wrinkling the skin and everything in that area. You can also see the ear sculpted out and as well highlighted again with that darker tone. We've got those dark browns that start up here, kind of run through the eye socket and lead back and down through the course of the body, but you've also got a different variation of brown here, as well as like some light kind of like tan or off-white tones there moving through, and then again that darker tone up here on the back of the Giganotosaurus. As you move down here into the body, you can see the shoulder blade a little bit right there. You again continue to have that same style of the design to the paintwork as we move through, with that alternate tone of brown kind of cutting through the darker brown and leading back, which looks really nice. As you move down, you can kind of make out the rib cage and the stomach region there for the Giganotosaurus. You've also got the arms sculpted nicely. We can see the muscle definition is nicely done moving down, and you've got the fingers sculpted quite beautifully. We transition back to a darker brown there for the hands, and you can see the nails as well. Have a nice genuine sharp look to them and are painted with a gray, so they look very nice as well. You can see the wrists, of course, are positioned correctly and everything. As you move back here into the stomach region, we've got lots of skin wrinkles and skin creasing here, especially considering the fact that this leg is trailing. You can see how the skin's kind of stretching off of the stomach right there, but you have Again, just really nice skin wrinkles as you move up there through the front of the thigh there in the stomach region. You've got a few more kind of spots of that darker brown, also some kind of slight off-whites and stuff in there, and different variations of lighter browns. So there is quite a bit going on as far as the paintwork for this Giga. As you move back here, you can kind of make out the hip bone. You can also see the spinal column moving along the back of the dinosaur. Nice muscle definition moving down into the thigh, but you can also see it's not overly defined or anything like that. So he has done a very good job as far as that goes. You've also got the kneecap there and a calf muscle that's bulging as the dinosaur is walking along. You can also see again a really smooth transition as we move down to some darker tones in the feet for the Giganotosaurus. You've got some scoots running down the toes right there, as well as some very nicely painted nails down here yet again. And you can see there is a dew claw, which we can't see. There we go. We can now see it over here on this side. But you can also see that the toes are picking up off of the ground as the Giganotosaurus is taking a step. And then we lead back up here into the tail. We have some more striping here as we move out. You can also see kind of like a grayish tone showing up within those stripes as you lead out through the course of the tail. And again, a lot of variation of color moving out here. You can also see the scale detail looks really well done as you continue to lead out. And then we do end the dinosaur here with that darker tone taking over the majority of the tip of the tail. Really nice, elegant curve to the tail. Nothing super dramatic or crazy, just very nice and naturalistic, I think. We also have a nice lighter tone for the underside of the Giganotosaurus. As we move along, you can see we do have a cloaca right there for the figure. You've got the hole right there on the underside, of course, because that's how you would help with printing the figure out when it is created. But you see, again, very impressive skin texture the entire way through the underside. And then, of course, we have the opposing side of the head, which also looks really nice. Again, gorgeous sculpt, really beautiful, very nice, precise paintwork as you move along. And then you can see as you lead back here, you have a little less skin wrinkling in the neck because the skin's stretching more now since the dinosaur has its head turned away from us toward its left. You can see the arm is in pretty much the same position over here as what we had seen on the initial side, but you've got the same type of detailing, same type of paintwork, very consistent compared to what we had seen on the first side, except as you move down here, you can see this leg is taking a step forward, which is really causing the skin to wrinkle right here in front of the thigh and the stomach region, which is nicely shown in the sculpt. Again, the nice muscle definition leading down the thigh. You can see the calf, the knee, and everything as you move down, kind of a striping effect leading down through the course of the leg as we again transition to that darker tone for the foot. And again, we have the nicely painted nails with the gray. You can now see the dew claw on the opposing side over there. And then we lead back up here into the tail and out again with that really cool striping effect and the nice curve to the tail. So when it comes to a Giganotosaurus, that is absolutely fantastic and definitely a really nice model to introduce us to Kevin's actual sculpting skill and painting skills. And then we've also got a nice little base here. You can see the base is kind of in like a circular design, and we have a nice earthy area here. We've also got the footprints for the Giganotosaurus. You have a few stones here and there, a larger one over here, and quite a bit of very nice variation of color applied to the base. Again, he's done a very good job of sculpting it out and painting it to look very realistic. We have kind of like almost mossy areas and stuff here as far as the paintwork, and then of course the nice browns and earthy areas here as you move through. Nothing super flashy, but it works very nicely for the dinosaur. You can also see there is a hole in the base because that's where you would apply the peg for the underside of the foot. It stands in there pretty nicely, but I'm going to glue mine on because I'm more of the better safe than sorry kind of guy, and I definitely want to make sure that it doesn't fall over or anything like that. But definitely a really cool base to go with a gorgeous Giganotosaurus. As far as a size goes, for a length, you are looking at about 9 3/4 inches or about 25 centimeters roughly for a height. I think maybe the back of the neck would be the highest point. A little over 3.5 inches or around 9 centimeters, maybe slightly over. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon, as well as the Collect Day human being next to our Giganotosaurus from Kevin Zanetti. And you can see the figure is a little on the smaller side when it comes to a Giganotosaurus. Most often when you get that species, it's usually delivered in a much larger size range, so it is nice to have a little bit of a smaller version once in a while like this, which is definitely really cool. And it's nice to be able to fit such a really gorgeous, quite accurate interpretation of a Giganotosaurus into your collection without taking up a massive amount of room. Then we have the Safari LTDU Tyrannus and Schleich Diabloceratops stepping in here for yet another comparison, as well as a Mattel Velociraptor, which you can see is obviously not quite similar in size, but they're not too far off from each other. And then for another random comparison, we have the Howlong Good Ouranosaurus, one that I've been using from time to time for comparisons just because it is a pretty popular figure currently. And then for one final comparison, we have the Collect Day Yanchuanosaurus. I brought this one in because this was a recent release, so it's one that many people currently have, in their hands or in their collection that they're very familiar with because it's been released so recently. So hopefully this will help to give you an idea of a size of this Giganotosaurus. I didn't really bring in any other Giganotosaurus to compare with it because I don't really have any in this size range. Everybody else would be much larger than this one. So tried to just bring in a few randoms to kind of give you an idea of the size. So this brand new Kevin Zanetti Giganotosaurus is absolutely awesome. Yet again, it is a really nice looking version and definitely one of the nicest in my collection as a whole. He's done a very good job of sculpting this out when it comes to the fine detail to make it look extremely realistic and lifelike, and the general appearance to it as well looks fantastic. The addition of lips on the Giganotosaurus as well is something that's really cool, something that many people I think will be happy with, myself included. We have a very nice natural pose for the Giga, just kind of walking along, not really doing anything too crazy, maybe letting out a slight vocalization as the mouth is open just a little bit to give us some form of a vocalization occurring currently. Very nice paintwork on top of everything. I think the tones of color are really well done, very nicely chosen. The application of the paint is also nicely done, and the patterning throughout gives it a little bit of a flashy look without straying too far from what I would deem realistic, and definitely still, again, continuing to have a very realistic appearance with a bit of a flashy appearance pattern-wise. So, as a whole, this is definitely a really cool figure, and I am beyond happy to actually have had a chance to acquire a model from Kevin Zanetti. Again, I've been a pretty big fan of his artwork ever since I had found out about it from Arctic Figures, and I've been, checking out his work for so long that it feels really cool to actually have a model that was sculpted by him now to include into my collection. So if you are interested in acquiring one of these for yourself, I will include a link in the description to where you can contact Kevin Zanetti on Instagram. Of course, you should absolutely follow him on there so that you can see all of his amazing artwork as well as the dinosaurs that he sculpts out, but you should also contact him and again inquire to purchase one of these incredibly cool Giganotosaurus. So make sure you do all of that and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.